Buffs fans? Trent Finnegan here with Buff Sports, and we are back looking at the UCLA game for this week's Buffs Film Room. Obviously a rough game. You feel bad for Shedeur Sanders watching the game, going back and rewatching the game. Line play was rough. CU got destroyed in the trenches, and that shows the difference between where they are now and where they could be at the end of this Coach Prime era. They have some talent. They need some big dogs in the trenches to really help this offense and this defense really set the line of scrimmage and get some momentum going. We're going to take a look at some clips from the UCLA game. Obviously, we got the bad, like I just mentioned, and then some good stuff from Travis Hunter, who is an out-of-this-world alien athlete, just an incredible player. And then we'll look at a clip from Oregon State in preparation for this week's game on Saturday night against the Beavers. Let's get into it. And before we get started, I just want to say that we're ditching the integrated face cam. The software is bugging this week, so we're just going to go without the face cam. We still got lots of great content here. First play, the alien, Travis Hunter, 2 interceptions in the first half last week. We're going to take a look at one of them here. So we have a smash concept from UCLA. That means this receiver is running an out. The number 2 receiver, he's going to run a corner. And to counter that, CU is going to run cover 2. Travis Hunter right here, he's in a little flat zone over here. Roderick Ward, the safety, he's going to be in a deep half over here. Now, what happens with smash against cover 2 is that corner route from the number 2 receiver gets open because the out route holds the flat, which Travis Hunter is in, and the safety can't get to the corner route, fast enough to be able to make a play on the ball. That's what normally happens. When you have Travis Hunter in the picture, everything changes. We're going to see here the quarterback's going to take the snap, and he's staring down this corner route the whole way. But if you look at Travis Hunter's eyes, he's staring at the quarterback. He's going to bait this throw. He knows that the corner's behind him. He's been watching his film. He's got the out. He's got the corner. And he's waiting. Soon as the quarterback loads up, you see Travis Hunter's hips are turned, and he's bailing back to that corner route to make a play. Now, here's the other thing. This UCLA quarterback, he makes a late throw and he makes a shallow throw. What that means is instead of leading it downfield because Roderick Ward's over the top, not letting that happen, he has to lead it farther outside, which is a little shallower. That in turn makes it so Travis Hunter has to cover less ground to get to this ball. Now you'll see here he still has to make an unreal play, unreal effort to get to it, but he makes it. You see here he's looking, flips the hips. By the time the ball is out, he's already halfway there, fully extends, gets the pick. Huge stop for the Buffs, his second turnover of the half, but as we saw, couldn't get rewarded on the offensive end due to the offensive line play. Next play, one of my favorite statements in all of football is don't block pass rushers with tight ends, especially when you got number 15 from UCLA who's going to be playing on Sundays next year. So you see here the Buffs, they have Mikey Harrison lined up as a wing, little offset wing in this formation here. Here's Harrison, and then here's Savion Washington. Now what the Buffs are going to do here is they're going to block 7 people. You got Hankerson's going to stay in, and Mikey Harrison's going to stay in. So you only have 3 receivers running a route versus this UCLA box, which only has 6 people in it. You have numbers here. But however, we saw it all day long. This offensive line didn't move their feet. They didn't seem to put any effort into their blocks. It was a very pitiful game to watch from this offensive line. And now we will see here when Mikey Harrison, he doesn't do a good job of getting to the outside shoulder. He knows that he's going to be able to double this guy with Savion Washington. Since Harrison's on the outside, he's got to get to his outside shoulder. Savion Washington gets the inside shoulder. They can double team him. Boom, he's taken care of. However, you see here, Harrison's on the inside. Savion Washington is just chilling, just doing nothing. And then you also see the left guard. I think that's Jack Wilty. Is already beat. His leverage is toast. Not a good recipe. Harrison gets beat on the top side. Savion doesn't touch anybody. And then on the bottom side, number 11 gets through. Hankerson also, you see here, he steps up and then he doesn't expect number 11 to get off his block that fast, which, to be fair, as a running back, you think that your O-line is going to hold up a tad longer than half a second. So he doesn't react in time. Nobody reacts in time. This was the story of the day. Shedeur Sanders, as soon as he gets to the top of his drop, which is pretty insane to think about. You see here, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-step drop, and as soon as he plans to shift his weight forward, he's already swarmed. He's just got to eat the sack here. Poor guy, you saw he got the shot at halftime. He was beat up all day long, and you got to hope that they obviously, most people think that they have one more year of Shedeur left. You hope that they can get some offensive linemen next year, because if Shedeur has pass protection, we've seen it this year, he can really unleash his arm, he can use his brain, he's got such a high football IQ, and he can make defenses pay. He just doesn't have the time right now, and that's got to fix going forward. He needs some help. Now, next play, here's the thing. He didn't have time a whole lot on Saturday night. But when he did, and this play was an example of when he had just enough, he was able to take some shots downfield. You're going to see here he's going to throw it to Weaver. Later in the game, he threw it to Travis Hunter, generated a pass interference call. You have to, especially with these playmakers on the outside, you have to just take a shot here and there to keep the defense honest, or else they're just going to play up like Colorado was throwing these flats, these checkdowns under 5 yards most of the night, because that's all Shedeur had time to throw, and UCLA started cheating up on it. So now when you see here, we got Weaver on the top of the screen. He's not doing anything fancy. He's just in one-on-one coverage, and he's just going to run a go. And Shedeur has not a whole lot of time, but just enough time to get it off. You see that left guard didn't hold up again. That D tackle's coming through, but there's enough of a pocket there for Shedeur to get this ball off. And we saw this a lot early in the season with TCU, with Nebraska, where they would just take a shot. They'd just say, hey, Xavier Weaver, go do your thing. And they just throw him a deep ball, and he would make the play, and it would generate huge momentum for this team. I feel like we haven't seen that a lot lately. And yes, some of it has to do with the pass protection. However, I feel like Sean Lewis has been a little more conservative with his play calls recently, and that's been something that's kind of caught the eye of some football watchers, that Sean Lewis's play calling has really changed as this season has gone on. But anyways, for this play, Weaver makes the play, catches the ball, gets the Buffs in the red zone. Now, Buffs are down 8. This is 2 plays later. When you get the ball in the red zone down 8, you have to find ways to get into the end zone, and it doesn't help when your O-line doesn't do anything for you. However, Sean Lewis barely ran design running plays to his running backs, and that just let the UCLA D-line tee off on pass rushes. They didn't have to hold their run responsibilities because they knew that CU wasn't going to run the ball. The linebackers didn't have to fill because they knew CU was going to pass the ball. And here, you're in the red zone, and look at what you have on this right side. You have one. If you pull Harrison through here on what's called an inside zone split, or you could have him, you could also run these two double. Washington kind of gets up to the second level, and Harrison can kick out this guy. Hankerson's going to have a lane if you run that, but instead, Sean Lewis just doesn't trust the run game here, and he's going to run a pass play, and you're going to see this offensive line just look at the right guard. Ball's barely been snapped. He's already beat. Looks like we have a screenplay developing here. You see the left side of the line, and Harrison's starting to sneak out. But by the time Christian Lichtenhand gets out, you see Hankerson just turn his head to get that ball. Shedeur's already running for his life to the right, and he's got nowhere to go. It sucks. And you saw that in the red zone where Sean Lewis just didn't run the ball. You have to keep the defense on their toes. I don't care how bad your offensive line is. You have these playmakers in your backfield. You have to give them the ball. Try and let them do something. Scheme up a run to the weak side. Like we saw there, if you ran to the boundary side of the field, they would have had at least even numbers, and Hankerson could have made a play, at least gotten it within the 5, and that helps you out immensely instead of taking a sack, pushing you outside the 10. Next play. It's called setting the edge here. UCLA is in this jumbo package. The play before this is their defensive tackle. They leaked him out. He engaged on a block, and then he snuck out here for a little pass play. Quarterback Ethan Garbers missed him. So next play, what do? They stay in that package, and I've talked about this with CU's jumbo package before. When you bring the big boys out on the field defensive players out on the field for offensive purposes, which is just blocking because they're massive guys, you run behind them. And look at what's going to happen here. You got this edge player for CU. His responsibility is he's got to get to the outside shoulder of this guy and set the edge, and then that's going to force the running back up through Silman Craig's right here. They'd have a one-on-one in the hole. No guarantee Silman Craig makes that tackle. We don't know what would happen, but it'd be better than this. Now what happens instead is this edge defender for CU, he attacks this blocker head on, and in turn, he doesn't get any outside leverage, and it just results in a total walk-in touchdown for UCLA here. Look, he engages, his weight's already back. Look at the bases of these two guys while we're here. The UCLA guy, his leverage is at a 45-degree angle. He's ready. You see his helmet is at the shoulders, his helmet's lower. Low man wins in football. Colorado edge defender here, his weight is straight up. That's an instant recipe for disaster. You're never going to win any blocks when your leverage looks like that compared to the guy blocking you. You see, now he's really standing up. He can't get outside. By the time he finally sheds that block, it's way too late. Walk-in touchdown. As an edge defender, it could be a defensive lineman. It could be a linebacker. It could be a roll-down safety. It could be a cornerback. You have to set the edge if you're the outside guy and force the ball carrier back up into the defense, especially. And you see here, 3rd and goal. You get a stop. If that guy sets the edge, someone Craig Fields makes that tackle, possibly forces a field goal. It's only 17-9. It's still one possession game in the 4th quarter. But since he doesn't set the edge, free walk-in touchdown, makes it a 2-possession ball game late. So that's all the UCLA clips we got. I could go through 100 more bad clips. I feel like I keep saying this week after week, but it's just this Buffs team isn't ready yet. Next year, little Power 5 experience, couple more big-time transfers, big-time recruits. Maybe they'll be ready to make a push, but right now, this team is not ready. A team that is ready is the Oregon State Beavers. And man, CU's going to have to be ready in the trenches. Obviously, they weren't last week. And you're going to see Oregon State ended up losing this game, but they are a top 25 team for a reason. They push guys around. They have athletes on the edges. And they just really work as a team. They have great play calling to cater to their athletes. And they utilize the run game, the passing game, special teams, and defense. It's all balanced, and that's what you need for a good football team. You need all 3 facets, offense, defense, special teams, to be balanced here. So, Oregon State. Something from watching this Arizona game is they love running this bunch under center formation, and they run it to the field. You got the 3 guys, 1, 2, 3, and then the 1 receiver to the boundary. And what that does is it causes, you see Arizona's doing it here, their defensive leverage shifts down here. You got the linebacker here. Everyone's here. There is nobody out here. And what does Oregon State do in turn? They're going to run weak. They can run it with their running backs. They got great athletes. They can run it with their quarterbacks. They got 2 quarterbacks who can run the ball. Starter's going to be DJ Ugungale, the Clemson transfer. A lot of people know his name. He's been a little under the radar this year because I feel like Oregon State hasn't gotten the coverage they deserve. He's fantastic. I think he's going to play great against CU because I don't think that CU's defensive line is going to do enough to disrupt him. So now you see on this play, sorry, let me get it pulled up here. They're going to run it to that gap on the top side of the screen. And I'm going to pause it right here. Look at where the line of scrimmage is supposed to be, and look at where Oregon State has shifted it to. Here's the line of scrimmage at the start of the play. Running back is still 3 yards behind that line of scrimmage. And now the line of scrimmage is way up here because this offensive line moves people. They aren't messing around. They aren't playing patty cake. They're getting low. They're driving. This is just a zone scheme. Everyone's reaching to the right. And they are doing a fantastic job at moving that line of scrimmage, utilizing weak side run game to get to their spots, get some man advantages. 1st and 5. We'll call it an 8-yard gain. Results in a first down. CU, I feel like I say this every week, but if they want any shot at making a bowl game and getting 2 more wins, especially with all these ranked teams left on their schedule, they're just going to have to get better line play. That's it. And if you don't get line play, you get pushed around, teams can run the ball on you like this, and then on the other side of the ball, your quarterback gets sacked 300,000 times like we saw with Shedeur. That's all the clips we got for today. Buffs need 2 more wins to be bowl eligible. There isn't a time like the present. If they're going to get it done, they got to start now, generate some momentum. You got a top 25 team coming into your house on a Saturday night. Nothing like Pac-12 after dark. We've seen it this year. We've already gotten 2 classics, 1 win, 1 loss in this 8 p.m. kickoff slot for the Buffs. We'll see if this offensive line will improve. Dion said this week that he met with them. They're going to be the best they've ever been. Dion's obviously a great coach. He stands up for his guys no matter what. We'll see if this meeting actually did something, because if this offensive line can hold up a little better, we know what this offense can do. They'll have a chance to win any game if the offense is firing on all cylinders. We'll see what happens. 8 p.m., Folsom Field, Saturday night, and maybe the Buffs will come back, pull it off. Maybe it'll be the same old Buffs and more issues. Hopefully Shedeur doesn't get hurt. We saw he was limping at the end of the game last week. With that said, for ScoBuff Sports, I am Trent Finnegan. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Buffs Film Room. We will be back next week to recap the Oregon State game.